Part 17. I Took Away the Villain's Son. Author, the Great Onmyoji. Chapter 163. Yang Hao was speechless when he heard the words. He didn't expect that Emperor Ningxin, a peerless emperor, would ask him such questions at this moment. Needless to say, he knew what Emperor Ningxin was thinking. He turned his gaze to Emperor Ningxin. This is a woman who exudes charm all the time, but Yang Hao can see a trace of innocence in her eyes at a glance. Then he looks at the extremely hot figure and slender long legs. The best in the world. Subconsciously, this comes out of his heart. A thought. But at the next moment, Yang Hao, the spiritual platform suddenly became clear, and he knew that this was the charm naturally exuded by Emperor Ningxin. The physique of the other party should be extremely extraordinary. Too old. After just pondering for a moment, Yang Hao said calmly. What he said was the truth. It took more than 5,000 years for Emperor Ningxin to practice and become an emperor, even if he is a peerless genius. And he is not even 100 years old. He understood the meaning of Ningxian emperor very well. Although Yang Hao admired Ningxian emperor's beauty, he would not mind having a friendly exchange with Ningxian emperor if he was willing. But as a Taoist couple, Ningxian emperor and him only had a brief relationship. Yang Hao would naturally not be willing. So he casually made an excuse. Emperor Zun, what you say makes no sense, but Emperor Ningxian was stunned when he heard the words, and then looked at Yang Hao very seriously, and said slowly. Oh! In this great world, cultivation is respected, and the choice of a Taoist partner should be based on cultivation and talent. Who cares about the length of life? Emperor Chang'ai became the great emperor when he was only 9,000 years old. How many old monsters over 30,000 years old knelt down and worshipped Emperor Chang'ai? Emperors Zishuan and Emperor Dongyun, there is an age difference of 20,000 years between them, but has anyone ever said that they are not a good match? With your status as an emperor, even Xiao Qing'er is left far behind you. Don't talk about looking for a peerless evildoer of your age. Even if they have practiced for thousands of years more than you, how many goddesses are better than the emperor? Ningxin Huan continued. Age is never a problem, feelings can also be cultivated slowly. Although I want to be the Taoist companion of the emperor, I am not a good match, but I am about to become a saint, so I am barely worthy of the emperor. I wonder what Emperor Zun thinks. Emperor Ningxian is very bold and directly expresses her thoughts. A peerless goddess who is about to become a saint lowers her body to court, which is the ultimate temptation for many evildoers. You know, a goddess like Emperor Ningxian, if you want to pursue her as a Taoist companion, you can definitely queue up from the Holy Land of Eternal Life to the Holy Land of Yin and Yang. Anyone else will definitely feel that Emperor Ningxin's words are too self-effacing. Yang Hao's potential is self-evident. 100,000, the most powerful genius in recent years, ranked as the main star of the avenue, with the appearance of an emperor, too many auras surround him. However, it is undeniable that Yang Hao has not grown up yet. As long as he has not grown up, there is a risk of falling. Except for Zhang outside of Wu, no one knew that Yang Hao had become a giant. In the eyes of many people, Yang Hao was just a powerful man. Even if he wanted to become an emperor, it would take tens of thousands of years. During this period, too many accidents could happen. Outsiders would not know Yang Hao's many trump cards. With his status as Emperor Ningxian, he is definitely worthy of Yang Hao. Makes sense. Age really doesn't matter. When Yang Hao heard this, he nodded slightly in a rare way, and a strange light flashed in his eyes. He did not agree with Emperor Ningxin's courtship, but when Emperor Ningxin said just now, a fairy-like light flashed in his eyes. The shadow seemed to be engraved in his heart. What does Emperor Zun mean? Seeing Yang Hao nodding, Emperor Ningxin's beautiful eyes twinkled, and his eyes were filled with bright stars. He only wants to seek the Tao, but he has no intention of being a Taoist companion. When Yang Hao heard this, he shook his head again and said, Emperor Ningxin is very good, he is the best in the world. No one else would refuse. But he is different. He has a powerful enemy in front of him, and his Taoist heart is also extremely tough. The harem can be opened. But definitely not now. How many heroes have had their will shaken by beauty and finally come to an end? Naturally, Yang Hao would not make such a big mistake. Seeking Tao and Taoist companions. Emperor Ningxian was a little in disbelief when he heard this. He didn't expect that Yang Hao would reject her so decisively. Just as Emperor Ningxin was about to continue convincing Yang Hao, suddenly several phantoms appeared on the second floor of Wandeo Pavilion. Someone else teleported from the first level. Emperor Ningxian, where is the Emperor? This layer is actually like this. The pinnacle quasi-sage formed by special laws is not easy to deal with. When these geniuses from the Eternal Holy Land arrived, they immediately sensed the rules of the second level and began to seriously analyze how to get the maximum benefit from the second level of Wandeo Pavilion. Emperor Ningxin suddenly became speechless. She glanced at Yang Hao with a charming look, and said to Yang Hao, I would like to ask Emperor Zun to consider my opinion. After the trip to Wandeo Pavilion is over, Emperor Zun will reply again, okay. However, her voice transmission was like a drop in the sea. Yang Hao did not reply to Emperor Ningxin. Instead, as he just said to Emperor Ningxin, he directly said to these geniuses who stepped into the Holy Land of Eternal Life one after another. I didn't expect that Emperor Zun would be the master of the pavilion, so I naturally followed Emperor Zun's arrangements. Emperor needs to be careful with Emperor Feng, Emperor Diba, and others. They have deep grudges against you on the cloud platform. One voice after another responded to Yang Hao. They are all geniuses with online IQs and come from the same Holy Land. No one has any objection to Yang Hao's words and even reminded Yang Hao. Changing places, if it were them, they would do what Yang Hao did. No problem. Yang Hao was not surprised when he heard this. But since he is a person from other holy lands, except for Fang Qingying, there is no need to care. If there is no malice towards him, that's it. If there is malice, then just like the Heavenly Sword Emperor, he will slaughter them all. Yang Hao's idea is very simple and crude, and there is no need to think too much. The major holy places have tried their best to open Wandeo Pavilion. That is because they have the same interests, not unity and friendship. From ancient times to the present, don't say that these great forces are the eternal emperor and there are all kinds of frictions between the great emperors of creation, and they don't like each other. Who can really be in harmony? These powerful forces can't wait for their own genius to wipe out all the opportunities in Wandeo Pavilion, and then conveniently wipe out the others. The great geniuses of the big forces were slaughtered together. One side gained benefits while causing heavy losses to the opponent. This was the naked way of getting along between these big forces. Naturally, Yang Hao had already seen the truth clearly. So there will be no mercy in the slightest. In his opinion, if others except Lin Feng just swallow their anger, if they dare to target him or the Holy Land of Eternal Life, the consequences will naturally be self-evident. Those who ordered the Holy Land of Eternal Life after the geniuses, the second floor of Wandeo Pavilion once again fell into silence. This time, the silence lasted longer, and several hours passed in the blink of an eye. I mean, are you ready to join us? Yang Hao sensed that no one had arrived for a while, and with a slight thought in his mind, he understood. Even if he made some calculations on Yuntai, it has been so long since the geniuses of the Eternal Holy Land entered the second level of Wandeo Pavilion. No one entered, which already explains the problem. The remaining people who entered Wandeo Pavilion must have gathered on the first floor, and I am afraid they will enter the second floor together. Fang Qingying is here. At this time, Yang Hao's eyes suddenly flashed. A graceful shadow appeared. It was Fang Qingying of the Holy Land of Creation. Master, Lin Feng informed all the geniuses about the privileges between Dao Galaxy and Wandao Pavilion. The fact that you are the main star of Dao Galaxy has made many people worry that you will seize the opportunity and plunder them all. On the first level, almost all the geniuses are connected by Lin Feng, preparing to deal with you. After Fang Qingying entered the second floor of Wandao Pavilion, she instantly understood the rules and sensed Yang Hao's message, and immediately responded. "Oh, I see." Yang Hao nodded. He didn't expect that he had forgotten to accidentally trap Fang Qingying behind the cloud platform, and there was an unexpected harvest, which made him a little emotional. Fang Qingying entered at this moment, obviously because he knew the information about Lin Feng's connection with everyone. Enter one step ahead and prepare to inform Yang Hao. Interesting. Except for the Kowloon Emperor and a few talented people who didn't want to cause trouble, they were all persuaded by Lin Feng. If I were a challenger at this level and I was caught off guard, I might really be tricked by Lin Feng. Yang Hao analyzed the information brought by Fang Qingying. The Kowloon Emperor is a peerless genius, so it is not surprising that he did not participate. According to his understanding, this person has a good character and no one wants to offend him. As for the other people, it must be because they feel him threats, resulting in a herd mentality, and wanting to expel him. Pity. I will give you a surprise on the second level. Yang Hao chuckled and didn't care that Lin Feng had connected a group of people. Not long after Fang Qingying arrived at the second floor, finally at this moment, a large ray of light flashed on the second floor of Wandao Pavilion. One after another figures gradually appeared. Just as they were understanding the second floor during the second level rules, some people were horrified to discover that the pavilion master, who was supposed to take action only after accepting the challenge, came directly towards them to kill them. Great terror is coming. I took away the villain's son. Author, the Great Onmyoji. Chapter 164. The Aura of Destruction, Crazy Escape. One after another, terrifying special laws came with the pressure that only the saint level could possess. Yang Hao's ancient killing array, blessed by the special laws possessed by various pavilion masters, turned into a world like glass, overturning everyone. Yang Hao, who became the master of the pavilion, ignored the rules and didn't care at all whether Lin Feng connected them. He doesn't care at all whether these people come from Yin Yang Holy Land or from Creation Holy Land. In his eyes, they are all the same. Just dead people. No. The first person to bear the brunt of the fall was that skinny and thin figure, the peerless genius from the Holy Land of Heaven and Earth, the extremely domineering Earth Overlord. Before he even had time to understand the rules of this second level in detail, he was killed by Lin Feng beside him. Caught him directly. Not bad. Yang Hao's first target was naturally Lin Feng. But Lin Feng seemed to have been prepared. He grabbed the Earth Tyrant Emperor to block the knife at the first time. At this moment, he broke out with a far beyond ordinary fighting power at all times. As the Earth Overlord screamed in terror, the Earth Overlord had already erupted with endless aura, activating many magical powers and treasures, but to no avail. What they faced was not the Pavilion Master transformed by special rules, but Yang Hao. This is a terrifying existence that can directly cross several great realms and defeat the powerful of the extreme. Although he becomes the Pavilion Master, he cannot use all his methods, but it is enough. Today I came to one on the second floor of the Dao Pavilion, not to mention the strongest are all emperors. So what if they are saints? Yang Hao can still kill them all. The figure of the Earth Overlord was completely shattered almost in an instant. He has practiced for thousands of years. The foundation was destroyed once, and even his already rounded and flawless supreme killing formation was shattered in a breath. The killing storm was set off. Of course, Yang Hao's killing attack would not only target Lin Feng. In addition to the Earth Overlord, at the same time, there were also many other geniuses have also fallen like rain. Those who were able to survive Yang Hao's sudden and terrifying attack almost all had their treasures shattered and sacrificed their secrets to barely survive. But even so, there are still many geniuses who only survived. One breath left. Destroy. When Yang Hao saw Lin Feng offering sacrifice to the Earth Overlord, he didn't care. Lin Feng had great luck, so it was naturally difficult to kill him. Although he wanted to suppress Lin Feng, if he could kill him directly, he would not deliberately keep him. Life. As soon as his words fell to the ground, the whole world began to become void. The quasi-sage words followed, and Yang Hao said a word, and an even more terrifying law came. This time, it is not just the power of simple rules, but a complete law. It is extremely similar to his reincarnation method. He completely integrates the law into his own understanding and unleashes a terrifying killing spree. The master of the pavilion is Emperor Zun. Escape. Run away. Do not kill me. I surrender. I did not participate in dealing with you, Emperor Zun, please forgive me. An extremely noisy sound resounded. These geniuses are not ordinary people. They encountered a head-on blow, and many of them were seriously injured and dying, but they still kept the spiritual platform clear. They immediately understood Yang Hao's identity, and they immediately said anxiously. But there are still people who are attacked and killed by Yang Hao indiscriminately. One after another, the breaths were annihilated and fell. Sometimes when Yang Haoan was speaking, a white light would flash out. Even the previously arrogant and aloof Luan Yang Tianjun's body was shattered in an instant, leaving only a supreme killing array surrounding his Yuanling Kang and flying out in panic. These people were just washed away by the aftermath. The real target of Yang Hao's attack is still Lin Feng. Damn it, how could he be the master of the pavilion? Is the relationship between the main star of the avenue and the Tiangang star of the avenue so big? Lin Feng gritted his teeth. He didn't expect that just after entering the second level, Hao couldn't help but attack like a violent storm. This was completely different from what he imagined. This is the only way to sacrifice it. Lin Feng was heartbroken at this moment, feeling that the great terror was approaching. If he didn't move again, he might fall on the spot. His expression was extremely ferocious. Black aura overflowed from his body. Suddenly, something appeared in his hand. A black umbrella. As the black umbrella appeared in Lin Feng's hand, his face turned extremely pale, as if his vitality was seriously injured. But the black umbrella moved slightly. Suddenly, it opened as if it was a world of its own. In an instant, Yang Hao's hand could almost obliterate the existence of the saint. The method of destruction is blocked by this mysterious black umbrella. Kindness. Yang Hao exclaimed, staring intently at the black umbrella in Lin Feng's hand. Jidao Emperor Weapon. This black umbrella gave him a very special aura, very much like the Jidao Imperial armament. But Yang Hao was a little unsure. Because the aura of this black umbrella was very weird, and it was very different from the Jidao Imperial armament. According to from Yang Hao's understanding, the Jidao Imperial weapons are all nurtured by the Great Emperor. Whether they are special Imperial weapons like the Wei Tower, the 10,000 Method Star Chart, or other Jidao Imperial weapons in the Eternal Holy Land, they all have their own unique characteristics. Emperor Qi exists. But this black umbrella does not. See it, it's mine. Yang Hao's eyes flashed and he spoke again without hesitation. Curse. As soon as the words fell, an infinite evil force was about to descend on Lin Feng. Yang Hao wanted to snatch Lin Feng's black umbrella. You win. Just at the critical moment, Lin Feng suddenly heard a shout. The next moment, a white light enveloped Lin Feng and disappeared from the second floor of Wandao Pavilion. Yang Hao's face darkened when he saw this scene. The other party, he actually understood the rules, surrendered in an instant, gave up all the benefits of this level, and was transported to the last level of Wandao Pavilion. In fact, just now, as many people shouted to admit defeat, Wandeo was teleported away from the pavilion. This is the right of challengers on this level. Once you admit defeat, you can leave. You win. Seeing Lin Feng disappear, more people immediately woke up. Luoyang Tianjun, who was already dying and had lost his body, roared in embarrassment. In an instant, white lights disappeared one after another. But in just a moment, they almost reached this level. A total of 42 of all the geniuses, including the Earth Overlord, have fallen. Excluding those who failed to climb the Yuntai. Seeing this scene, the geniuses of the Holy Land of Eternal Life who arrived one step ahead took a breath of cold air, their hands and feet feeling a little cold. So horrible. So decisive. Doesn't it mean that the Pavilion Master needs a challenger to initiate a challenge before he can take action? Emperor Zun, are you trying to monopolize everything? Fortunately, we come from the same Holy Land as Emperor Zun. These geniuses of the Eternal Holy Land did not even understand what happened from beginning to end. Naturally, they would not know about Fang Qingying's message. In the eyes of these geniuses of the Eternal Holy Land, everyone else came within a moment of Fang Qingying's arrival. Although some geniuses had guessed that the geniuses of these major forces might unite, and reported this to Yang Hao as a guess. However, no one thought that Yang Hao would be so decisive and take action against these people without even a trace of hesitation. So cold-blooded. Too domineering. These geniuses of the Eternal Holy Land were all horrified by Yang Hao. They suddenly remembered that when they were on the Yuntai, someone called Yang Hao a devil. Is there a devil here or there? He is clearly the Demon King. Previously, although the geniuses of the Eternal Holy Land seemed to agree with Yang Hao's request for benefits, they still had some grudges in their hearts. But what's the grudge now? What a deal! What a deal! They even felt that Yang Hao asked for too little. With such terrifying power of the Pavilion Master, who can persist for even one breath? All right. This second level is almost over. Just admit defeat yourselves. Remember what you promised. At this time, Yang Hao looked at the corpses and the scattered white light, and said casually to the geniuses of the Holy Land of Eternal Life. He had already sensed that when he was suppressing the geniuses of these major holy places, Wandeo Pavilion had already cleaned up the geniuses. The fluctuations of the waves blessed him. No need to think too much. After the geniuses of the Eternal Holy Land in front of him surrendered and teleported away, he could be regarded as completely suppressing all the challengers, and the benefits obtained at this level should be easy. It's time to settle. Although half of his mind is still thinking about the origin of Lin Feng's black umbrella, Yang Hao is already looking forward to what benefits he will get after the end of this level. You win. You win. Voices sounded immediately. They were afraid that Yang Hao would become red-blooded, so they slaughtered them as well. Lord Emperor is indeed unparalleled in power, please consider the little woman's previous suggestion. Only a pitiful voice reached Yang Hao's ears. Yang Hao watched helplessly as Emperor Ningxin disappeared. This goddess exuding a seductive aura was obviously not simple. Not only was she not frightened by him, but she seemed to be even more tempted. After Emperor Ningxian and all the geniuses of the Eternal Holy Land disappeared, this place was no longer empty. As for Fang Qingying, she had already given in and left at the first opportunity, and went to the next level to collect information for him. What opportunities will you get? Yang Hao is extremely looking forward to it at this moment. The Wandeo Pavilion led down from the Dao Galaxy contains extremely rare divine treasures. He suppressed everyone on the second floor, and as the master of the pavilion, I am afraid the reward will be even more extraordinary. Heart all his wishes come true. The divine light is magnificent. A series of rare treasures appear in front of his eyes the next moment. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I took away the villain's son. Author, The Great Onmyoji. Chapter 165. Earned 50 million points for discovering the star crystal. Earned 50 million points for discovering the calamity crystal. Earned 100 million points for discovering eternal blue gold. Earned 80 million points for discovering the gate of destruction. Divine light circulated, and divine objects descended directly in front of Yang Hao. Most of the divine objects are filled with the aura of law and are extremely strong. Star divine crystal, cursed divine crystal. Yang Hao took a quick glance and found most of the various divine crystals containing special rules. These divine crystals are extremely precious, but he had already obtained quite a few in the first level. Of course, there were more divine crystals appearing in front of him this time, and the types containing special laws far exceeded the previous harvest on the first level, reaching as many as 12 types. Nice one. Yang Hao collected these divine crystals without hesitation. These divine crystals will be one of the most important resources for his cultivation in the giant realm. Even if he does not mention whether he can encounter special laws, anything in front of him will one crystal can be worth hundreds of thousands of years of hard work in the giant realm. The value of the divine crystal is evident. Destroy the Dao sect, what is it? Yunyin, do you know? At this time, after Yang Hao put away the divine crystal, there were still two shadows left, both exuding endless rich divine light. Yang Hao knew very well that although there were only two shadows, the system's income records told Yang Hao that these two shadows this was the biggest gain this time, and its value was much higher than the divine crystal containing special laws. The first thing he focused on was the thing named Destruction Gate discovered by the system, so he casually asked Yunyin. Yunyin was silent for a moment, and said with some uncertainty, I'm not sure if it's the legendary thing. If so, Wandao Pavilion, it is a pity that the saint cannot enter, otherwise the whole world will be crazy. Yunyin's words aroused Yang Hao's interest. He collected the destruction gate that exuded divine light. It was a mini door. There were spatial fluctuations in the middle of the porch. With Yang Hao's space and formation skills, he instantly sensed the teleportation aura coming from it. It was as if, as long as he was willing to touch it, he would be immediately teleported to an unknown place by this small door. The ultimate law is the Great Road. But this is a rule for all things, not a rule for practitioners. Many extremely powerful people will have no way to go if they cultivate the rules to the ultimate level. They will not be able to follow the rules and turn the rules into magic to perform the supreme way. In this case, unless you enter some extremely rare secret realms, you can only use time, talent, and emotion to understand. If you have an epiphany and understand the ultimate law, you can instantly become a saint and evolve a small world. Hearing Yunyin's words, Yang Hao's eyes moved slightly. He understood the meaning of Yunyin's words. Do you mean that this gate of destruction can help the emperor understand the ultimate law and enlightenment? If this is the case, it is indeed far more precious than the divine crystal. Right. Yunyin said without hesitation, but it's definitely more than that. To the emperor, this thing is a treasure in the world, even if the emperor's soldiers don't replace it. But for a saint, the effect is also unlimited. People need to perform the killing array into the world. At most, the law can only bless the killing array. If you want to truly bring the killing array to the world, you need the existence of the Great Road. The more you control, the stronger the avenue becomes. It's a pity that for ordinary saints to be able to open a Great Road, they have already exhausted their entire life's cultivation experience. For example, Saint Unling, although his combat power is pretty good in the saint realm, so far his killing formation has not evolved into a small world, which is enough to illustrate the problem. If this thing is most likely to be the legendary thing, it can only be conceived in a magical place like Wandao Pavilion. Master, you must not use it now. This thing is extremely magical and can only be used once. It will disintegrate after consumption. If you can reach the ultimate level in the law of destruction in the future, you can use this object to enter the avenue of destruction and have a great chance of enlightening it and completely controlling it. Unfortunately, the law of destruction is a special law, and it is not so easy to reach the extreme state. Yunyan said regretfully. She was well informed and told the origin of the destruction gate that Yang Hao obtained. I see. The strongest realm Wandao Pavilion can enter is the Emperor. It is not surprising that a divine object like the Dao sect of destruction appears. Yang Hao nodded. It's not like Yunyan couldn't be sure. He had already determined through the system that this object was exactly what Yunyan said. His eyes flickered, but he just took a look at the many-shaped thing in his hand. Behind the door, he put the destruction gate into the sea of spiritual energy to nourish it. After all, the current law of destruction has not even reached the entry level, let alone the extreme state. If you want to truly use this thing, there is still a long way to go. But he is not in a hurry. Now he is only in the giant realm. The great power cultivates space, the divine king cultivates time, and the giant cultivates 10,000 laws. According to Yang Hao's understanding, after initially comprehending the two supreme laws of time and space, the giant realm can pass through time and space. The two laws can comprehend other laws. If you can comprehend the 9 laws, you can form immortal matter in your body, be promoted to an eternal giant, and understand more laws. As for the ultimate realm of laws, that is already a matter for the emperor. So strictly speaking, at least in front of him, the divine crystal is more practical to him than the Taoist door. Destroying Daemon is not easy anymore. Then this thing should be even more extraordinary. After Yang Hao collected the Dao sect of destruction into the sea of spiritual energy, he looked at the flickering divine light again. At this time, after some collection, there was only the last divine object left in front of his eyes. But even if it is a divine object, the divine light it emits is as vast and brilliant as the sun. What worries Yang Hao most is that in the system income records, when this divine object called eternal blue gold was discovered, the reward points reached a full 100 million points. More than twice the divine crystal, and a full 20 million points higher than the destruction Dao sect. Although the system's points acquisition has been continuously increasing as Yang Hao's realm improves. Yang Hao knows very well that through the system he used the income records to judge the value of items, and he never made mistakes. This eternal blue gold could be more precious than the destruction Dao sect, and it would definitely bring him a surprise. He did not hesitate to collect the eternal blue gold directly, and a water blue colorful fairy gold appeared on his palm. The material of this aqua fairy gold was soft, and Yang Hao could change it into various shapes with just a pinch. A streak of spiritual power filled the air, and the aqua fairy gold unscathed. A law poured in, and the aqua blue fairy gold was still intact. Eternal blue gold, this thing, should have become extinct. Once it appeared in the last era, it would be snatched up by the emperor. Looking at Yang Hao testing the eternal blue gold, Yunyan remained silent for a moment and then said. Materials for casting imperial weapons. Yang Hao had already guessed it when he heard Yunyan's words. The eternal blue gold in his hand was obviously not a divine object that could be used for enlightenment and cultivation like divine crystals and Taoist sects, but more like top-quality materials for forging. Yes. The Jidao Emperor's weapon is a thing that defies heaven. Once in this world, God will definitely punish you and destroy the imperial army. Even the emperor can't stop it. But the emperor's wisdom is infinite, and they finally found a solution. They discovered that there are 7 sacred objects in the world that contain endless luck. They are Daija gold, Phoenix blood red gold, Immortal tears green gold, Deluo fine gold, Eternal blue gold, Dragon pattern black gold, and Feathered green gold. The emperor called these 7 holy objects the 7-color holy objects. If you want to forge the ultimate imperial weapon, you must gather the 7-color sacred objects that carry great luck between heaven and earth. It's a pity that this 7-color holy object can appear anywhere in the world, but it is extremely rare. For example, Master, your Huanquan Road is a magical weapon that has the potential to become the ultimate imperial weapon. But even the Eternal Emperor could not find more seven-color holy objects and cast them. Yunyan said slowly, telling her everything she knew. At this time, Yang Hao finally understood why he carried his grandfather with him so unnaturally. Taking Yunyan with him was like carrying an encyclopedia. He had already discovered, no matter what kind of magical object he encounters, Yunyan can identify it and give excellent suggestions. With such an encyclopedia to guide you at all times, it is impossible to miss any adventure. Although he has vaguely guessed the eternal blue the uses of gold, but I definitely don't know as many as Yunyan does. No wonder when I got to Huanquan Road, the Eternal Emperor gave me the opportunity to train on my own. It turned out that he didn't have the materials to continue training. Yang Hao thought of this, shook his head and laughed. Knowing the value of eternal blue gold, he was in a great mood. As expected, Wandeo Pavilion had many divine objects. Along the way, whether it was divine crystals, Taoist gates, or eternal blue gold, such seven-color holy objects are of great use to him. On the last level, I don't know what to expect. After Yang Hao collected the eternal blue gold into the sea of spiritual energy, with a thought in his mind, he headed towards the third and last floor of Wandeo Pavilion. I took away the villain's son. Author, the Great Onmyoji. Chapter 166. Wandeo Pavilion, third floor. It is very different from the first and second floors. The third level is a vast and boundless world filled with endless laws. However, this layer of the world is divided into three areas. Divine lights of different colors can be clearly seen at the end of the world, separating everything. It is not easy to enter. The first area contains ordinary laws. The second area contains special laws. The third area contains the supreme law. Of course, no matter which area. When you reach the third level, you don't even need to travel. You can gain a lot and make rapid progress just by practicing in any area on the third level. Ah! Help me! Fang Qingying. However, at this moment, in the first area of the third floor, a shrill voice resounded. His voice was both shrill and weak. He was already dying. Luanyang Tianjun, who was lucky enough to escape from the third floor, the emperor who ascended to heaven, but now he encountered the horror of life and death on the third level. Lin Feng, you must die a good death. When Luanyang Tianjun's soul was about to be shattered, he cursed crazily. The person who made him fall was none other than Lin Feng. Several people who had been connected in series before entering the third level were completely destroyed. After understanding the rules, Lin Feng took action against him without hesitation. Snort. Did you use your privilege? He ran pretty fast. Lin Feng saw Fang Qingying's figure disappear in an instant, but his eyes fell on Luanyang Tianjun's soul. Don't worry, you won't die yet. It's your fault. The third level test is to create visions of heaven and earth, and you happen to be in a soul state. He chuckled, but it was ruthless and cold. After entering Wandeo Pavilion, he was plotted by Yang Hao one after another. This is completely different from the smooth sailing after rebirth. Lin Feng is very gloomy now. Especially on the second floor, he has clearly done everything he planned to make Yang Hao suffer heavy losses on the second floor, but he never expected that Yang Hao would become the pavilion master on the third floor, briefly gain quasi-sage strength, and suppress everyone without hesitation. This layer is still as I remember it, unchanged. The privilege obtained by Dao Tiangang Star allows me to instantly enter the second area and isolate myself from everything for 7 days. I have absolute safety, which allows me to concentrate on creating. With the privilege of being the main star of Yang Hao Avenue, he should be able to directly enter the third area. Lin Feng's eyes flashed with jealousy, but they were cold and cunning. Unfortunately, creation is not that simple. If you still rely on privileges as before, then this time you will pay the price and spit out all the benefits you received before. Creating the vision of heaven and earth is not simply a matter of stacking up laws. Nor is it that the more powerful the laws and materials are, the more powerful the vision of heaven and earth will be created. No matter how much law material you can get, it's useless if you can't create a vision. I know everything about the 5,000 years of future generations. When the great age comes, there will be countless visions of heaven and earth that will appear in the future generations. Lin Feng set his sights on the soul of Luoyang Tianjun, who was howling miserably in front of him. The vision of heaven and earth he was about to create was not the vision of heaven and earth that he knew had been created by someone in Wandeo Pavilion. It was an even more powerful phenomenon. The terrifying vision of heaven and earth. It was an invincible vision created by a terrifying emperor of later generations. This vision once shook the world, and was eventually even led by heaven and earth, becoming a truly eternal vision of heaven and earth. The 18 levels of underworld hell require 18 main souls, plus special laws such as underworld and death, and more than 70 ordinary laws to create them. Lin Feng looked at Luoyang Tianjun in front of him. In the next few days, he needs to hunt down 17 more main souls to allow his vision to be generated. Once the vision of heaven and earth he created is completed, it will be Yang Hao's death. He was extremely angry and had already made plans in his mind. On the third level, he would completely suppress Yang Hao and torture out all his secrets and relationship with Zhang Wu. While Lin Feng was hunting strong men and collecting law materials in the first area, Yang Hao appeared on the third floor. His location also appears in the first area. I see. This third level turned out to be like this. Yang Hao just entered the third floor and received all the information on the third floor. On the third level, is the test, the vision of creating heaven and earth. It turns out that visions of heaven and earth can still be created. Looking at the black bead in front of him, Yang Hao was a little surprised. He always thought that the visions of heaven and earth came from heaven and earth, but he never thought that they could be created. Yes. In essence, the vision of heaven and earth is felt by heaven and earth, and the falling luck favors it, bringing countless opportunities. Nature is divided into innate and acquired. Some visions of heaven and earth are innate since heaven and earth were born. For example, the long river of time that you, Master, once brought, the setting sun in the long river, and the purple air coming from the east, are all phenomena that are inherent in the heaven and earth. Some visions of heaven and earth are different. They are created by people, sensed by heaven and earth, and recorded accordingly, and they will remain in the world forever. Just like Master, you have attracted time like an arrow, Lu Yan has attracted the phoenix to nirvana. These two visions of heaven and earth are both acquired. One is the creation of the ancient emperor, and the other is the birth of the Phoenix clan, which triggers the records of heaven and earth. Yunyan immediately explained to Yang Hao, making Yang Hao suddenly realize. It turns out that there are really countless magical things in this world. He returned his gaze to the black bead that suddenly appeared in his hand. The third level of Wandeo Pavilion is very special. It has countless laws that can be easily perceived and used at will. It's a pity that I can only stay there for half a month before being teleported away. During this period, you can use this divine creation bead to absorb the power of various laws and evolve the phenomena of heaven and earth. In the end, when you teleport away, if the created vision of heaven and earth is good enough, you can get additional rewards. Yang Hao remembered the rules about the third floor of Wandeo Pavilion that had just poured in one after another. He nodded slowly and said, because of the privileges of my main star, I can directly teleport into the third area and collect them directly. In addition, I have absolute safety within 10 days and can concentrate on practicing and creating visions of heaven and earth. After he understood, he prepared to teleport towards the third area. Master, if you are ready to practice, there is no problem in teleporting directly to the third area. But if you want to create a vision of heaven and earth, then you must stay in this first area. The vision of heaven and earth seems simple, but in fact it is extremely mysterious. It not only requires special laws and supreme laws, but also requires a large number of ordinary laws. But suddenly he heard Yunyan's voice ringing in his ears. When Yang Hao heard the words, he immediately understood. Yunyan's reminder was very reasonable, and it was easy to figure out. Even in Blue Star, high-end is like a spaceship. There are extremely precise high-tech modules, as well as gears and parts as small as gears and parts. Naturally, he needs to create the vision of heaven and earth, and he doesn't need to think too much to know that the additional rewards will be huge. As the third floor of Wandeo Pavilion, it is even very possible the final reward will be even better than the second level. Let's walk around this first area first. Yang Hao understood. He originally wanted to find Lin Feng. But he found that the privileges had absolutely safe protection. As the main star of the avenue, he had it, and the other party was the Tiangang Avenue star, so he obviously also had it. So he was not in a hurry, but chuckled on the first an area is speeding up. Earned 50 million points for discovering the law of earth. Earned 50 million points for discovering the law of water. Earned 50 million points for discovering the law of fire. The law of gold, the law of water, the law of fire, a large number of ordinary laws permeate the first area. In the outside world, these laws require a lot of time to understand and practice with the Taoist mind. But here, even in the first area, one can directly comprehend and refine the power of these obvious laws. 15 days of practice here can be compared to 150 years or even 300 years of practice in the outside world. If you can enter the second area and the third area, the benefits will be self-evident. Yang Hao certainly did not fall into spiritual practice. While flying, he used the divine beat of creation to collect various rich powers of law. In such a rich area of laws, all kinds of laws were quickly collected by Yang Hao using the God of Creation beads. Master, what kind of heaven and earth vision are you planning to evolve? Seeing that Yang Hao was not scrupulous about eating meat and vegetables and was collecting them like crazy, without even a hint of pertinence, Yunyan couldn't help but feel a little curious. Have no idea. Yang Hao answered decisively, leaving Yunyan stunned. She didn't know what it meant. Just know it. Yang Hao didn't show off and continued to talk to Yunyan. Yunyan suddenly realized that she sensed the movement in Yang Hao's body. She actually forgot about that divine object. No wonder the master is so confident. It turns out that before entering the third floor, at that time, the divine object began to move on its own and create familiar fluctuations. This divine object was, of course, the extremely mysterious Immortal King's creation map. After Yang Hao obtained it, he and Yunyan collected 100,000 array diagrams. And after some reverse reasoning, the Immortal King's creation diagram was finally activated, so that the Immortal King's creation diagram evolved the ancient killing formation that best suited Yang Hao. Unexpectedly, the Immortal King's creation diagram began to operate on its own again. I took away the villain's son. Author, the Great Onmyoji. Chapter 167. Yang Hao did not expect that the Immortal King's creation map, which had been dormant in his body for a long time, would move slightly after reaching the third level. He discovered that this strange movement was connected with the divine orb of creation obtained after arriving on the third level. Therefore, after following Yunyan's suggestion, he began to collect ordinary laws crazily to prepare for the creation of heaven and earth phenomena. The time spent in the first area was not long. First of all, the ordinary laws are as vast as the sea, and Yang Hao is not doing it for practice, so he naturally collects them very quickly. Secondly, Yang Hao did not meet other geniuses who entered the third level. Even if you don't have privileges, you should still have save time. Maybe I have met those geniuses before, but the special rules of this level isolate everyone. Yang Hao also made a guess. He could feel that the God of creation in his hand, in addition to continuously absorbing the power of laws one after another under his control, was also purging an undetectable power of nothingness. It was as if he was completely separated from this void, about to break through. 2 days later, Yang Hao stepped into the second area, but his heart moved. He had just broken through the giant realm not long ago, and he was already about to be promoted to the second level of the giant. The law of fire. Yang Hao sensed the sea of spiritual energy. At this moment, there was a looming red halo, like a ribbon, gradually wrapping around the side of his sea of spiritual energy, as if it was about to condense into a crystal. He understood immediately, although he had been practicing for the past 2 days and did not practice deliberately, because the system was consuming huge amounts of points all the time for enlightenment. Even if he did not practice, he could reach the third floor of Wandeo Pavilion much faster than some geniuses who practiced. Naturally, the accumulation of some laws will naturally advance by leaps and bounds with his peerless understanding. Once the fiery red halo in his body gradually gathers into crystals, he will have preliminary control over the laws of fire and be promoted to the second level of the giant. Scattered. But Yang Hao thought for a while, but his eyes were sharp. The divine wheel of time, which was not far away from the fiery red halo, emitted a light blue luster, dispersing the fiery red halo that was about to take shape, and injected it into the prehistoric killing array. Seeing a sea of fire being born within the great desolate killing formation, he nodded slightly. Yunyan was dumbfounded by this ordinary move. "Master, your heart is as high as the sky." Yunyan immediately laughed bitterly. It seemed that Yang Hao had done something extremely simple just now. But she knew how shocking it was. If some giants knew about it, they would definitely be shocked. She knew very well that Yang Hao would rather the law of fire, which is about to be comprehended, is broken, and the reason for promotion is not chosen. Although the giant realm claims to be a cultivator of 10,000 laws, it can actually only comprehend the 9 laws. These 9 laws are also the only ones that a practitioner can attain before he attains enlightenment. Those who can master and practice to the ultimate level. After the 9 laws are intertwined to form the matter of immortality, these 9 laws are like supernatural powers, irreplaceable and eternal. Even if you can understand other laws in the future, you can only control them initially and cannot to the end. The reason is very simple. The law is a double-edged sword. Unless you become a great emperor, the more proficient the better. There are too many laws to comprehend, and it is very easy to be corrupted by the laws and become part of the laws. So don't. When it comes to the 9 laws, many saints only specialize in one law. But Yang Hao's actions just now clearly looked down on the law of fire and used all the power of the law of fire that was about to gather to accumulate. Yunyan was naturally extremely shocked by the prehistoric killing array. However, Yang Hao did not feel that he had done something shocking. He had already entered the second area at this moment. Earn 70 million points for discovering the law of death. Earn 70 million points for discovering the law of underworld. Earn 70 million points for discovering the curse law. The laws contained in the second area are even more incredible, special laws. Death, reincarnation, stars, curse. Yang Hao's eyes flickered, but he took out the God of Creation beads and began to collect them crazily. 2 days later, Yang Hao, who had collected the special laws, had a flash in his eyes. He finally entered the 3rd chapter. After 4 days on the 3rd floor, I met the first person. Not far away, a figure was sitting cross-legged, constantly comprehending the special laws in all directions, with his eyes sometimes intoxicated and sometimes surprised. The 9 Dragons Emperor. This person from the Holy Land of 10,000 Laws. The Peerless Emperor did not participate in Lin Feng's cooperation on the 1st level, so Yang Hao did not deliberately attack him on the 2nd level. The 9 Dragon Emperor was also a decisive person, and he immediately gave up and fled on the 2nd level. It's just that I didn't expect that there would be such a coincidence, and we would meet Yang Hao again after entering the 3rd floor. Not good. The 3rd level is so vast, How could we encounter this evil god? At this time, the Nine Dragons Emperor, as an emperor, suddenly received an inspiration from the heavenly spirit, and shuddered subconsciously. He opened his eyes and saw Yang Hao. Even though he was a peerless emperor, the Nine Dragons Emperor saw Yang Hao at this moment. When he saw Yang Hao, not only did he not have a sense of superiority, but he subconsciously wanted to escape. This guy is too scary. Whether it was the encounter on the cloud platform or on the second floor, the Nine Dragons Emperor had a clear understanding of Yang Hao. When the moment he saw Yang Hao, he disappeared without a trace and disappeared from Yang Hao's sight. Yang Hao, what are you running for? Yang Hao activated his supreme magical power and suddenly appeared next to the fleeing Nine Dragons Emperor. He was a little speechless. He is not in the state of the second-level pavilion master now. In terms of strength, in the eyes of these people, he is only powerful. After all, this emperor is also an emperor. Does he need to run away when he sees him? He doesn't have any murderous intention towards the Nine Dragons Emperor. He just wants to see if he can loot the Nine Dragons Emperor's creation beads and inquire about Lin Feng. Only the whereabouts of. I have met Emperor Zun, and Xiao Huang has no ill intentions towards you. Xiao Huang just wants to practice here and does not participate in any struggle. This is Xiao Huang's creation god bead. If you want it, please take it. Xiao Huang has already tested it and can give it away. In addition, Xiao Huang has never seen Maple Emperor, but he heard from others that Maple Emperor has been killing people on the third floor in the past few days and has killed many unparalleled geniuses. He should be heading towards the third area now. If there is anything else you want to know, Xiao Huang knows everything and can tell you. A series of words were spat out from the mouth of the Nine Dragon Emperor without any pause, as if they had been prepared for a long time. Yang Hao blinked after hearing the words. This person is a peerless genius? How can he be so timid as a mouse? He is just a giant, not an emperor. The Nine Dragons Emperor's reaction was beyond Yang Hao's expectations. In this case, you can find and practice on your own. If there is still something to gain at the end of this time, remember to share half of it with me, which can be regarded as your life-buying money. He took a deep look at the Nine Dragon Emperor, who was nodding his head like a chicken pecking rice, and didn't ask any more questions. The Nine Dragon Emperor had already told him everything he wanted to know. Yang Hao collected the Nine Dragon Emperor's creation beads. Rise, disappear instantly. Call. Seeing Yang Hao disappear, the Nine Dragons Emperor wiped the sweat from his forehead and breathed a sigh of relief. Naturally, his reaction was not temporary. In fact, he had already imagined it when he entered the third floor. The solution to the various dangers he will face. Meeting Yang Hao is the last thing he wants to encounter, but it is also the one that the Nine Dragons Emperor has already prepared to deal with. The Nine Dragons Emperor is different from other geniuses. To be able to reach this day, in addition to the talent of the evildoer, it is more about being kind to others and acting from the heart. When he entered Wandao Pavilion and saw Yang Hao for the first time, the Nine Dragon Emperor felt a panic in his heart. Feeling. Later, everything that happened confirmed his feeling. So even if Lin Feng joined forces to make him go against Yang Hao, he would deny it. The further away from this evil spirit, the better. The Kowloon Emperor murmured to himself. He had no intention of creating a vision of heaven and earth. Instead, he found a hidden place again and eagerly absorbed the special laws of heaven and earth. This Nine Dragons Emperor is a bit unusual. At this time, Yang Hao was far away from the Nine Dragon Emperor and could not even sense his breath, and he suddenly came back to his senses. When he met the Nine Dragon Emperor just now, he subconsciously did not have any killing intention towards him. You know, with his character, no opponent would be merciful. But the Kowloon Emperor's words just now made him leave subconsciously. It seemed that the other party was as timid as a mouse, but in fact, Every word in his words was that he might take action to suppress the opponent's point. In this world, evildoers are born, and such people are likely to live a long life. Yunyan also said to Yang Hao, "No need pay attention to him." Lin Feng actually started a massacre on the third floor. It seemed that he was planning to create a strange phenomenon in the world. It shouldn't be that simple. However, the Immortal King's creation map has finally evolved into its prototype. Sure enough, just like the prehistoric killing array before, the prototype of the heaven and earth vision evolved from the Immortal King's creation map was once again unearthed in the depths of my memory. It's really exciting. Yang Hao no longer thinks about the Nine Dragons Emperor at this moment, but thinks of Lin Feng, his eyes twinkling. Obviously, it is much faster to deduce the vision of heaven and earth from the Immortal King's creation map than to deduce the killing formation on the spot. The prototype of his vision of heaven and earth is now time has also been slowly deduced and perceived by him. Please download the novel without underlining. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I took away the villain's son. Author, the great Onmyoji. Chapter 168. The power of 10,000 ordinary laws, including 1,700 laws of fire and 251 laws of earth. The power of 3,200 special laws, including 530 laws of the 5 elements and 27 laws of disasters. The power of 109 supreme laws, including 18 laws of fate and 86 laws of space. The Immortal King's creation map continuously sent messages to Yang Hao. The vision of heaven and earth has taken shape, and the required power of law has been calculated by the Immortal King's creation map. With the accurate information of the Immortal King's creation map, Yang Hao naturally did not need to collect them all aimlessly as before. After targeted collection, and in the past few days, I met some geniuses again, and after plundering their creation beads and integrating them into my own, the ordinary laws and special laws needed to evolve the heaven and earth phenomena were all gathered together by Yang Hao. I just don't know if the law of destiny exists in the third region. Among these, what worries Yang Hao the most is the law of fate. There are 3 recognized supreme laws: space, time, and the law of fate. Compared with the laws of space and time, the law of fate is the most mysterious and unpredictable, and cannot be understood and practiced at all. Because you can't find a place to gain enlightenment. If it were any other place, Yang Hao would even give up the idea of evolving this vision of heaven and earth. But this is Wandeo Pavilion, a sacred place containing endless opportunities. Yang Hao took it with him with a trace of worry and a trace of expectation. He was teleported to the third region instantly. Originally, if you want to enter the next region, you need to pass a test before you can enter. The test is not easy, and there may even be a life and death crisis. Even for a talented person like the Nine Dragons Emperor, he didn't choose to enter, which shows how difficult it is. But for Yang Hao, who is ranked as the main star of the avenue, when he enters the third level, he has the qualification to be directly teleported to the third region with the most profound opportunities. What a scary smell! Sure enough, there are a lot of supreme laws here. As soon as Yang Hao teleported into the third area, he sensed the extremely familiar laws of time and space. But at this moment, when he was sensing the familiar laws of time and space, his heart jumped suddenly. In this third area Yang Hao suddenly sensed that in addition to the 2 supreme laws of time and space, there was another seemingly invisible aura. The law of destiny. Without even thinking, Yang Hao realized that there is the most mysterious law of destiny in this third area. Although the number is far less than the laws of time and space, it does exist. This made Yang Hao feel refreshed. He headed towards the sensed realm at an extremely fast speed. Finally, he entered a deep pool full of mist. His legs were submerged in the cold and biting pool water, but Yang Hao clearly began to sense the ethereal law of destiny. Earned 100 million points for discovering the law of time. Earned 100 million points for discovering the law of destiny. On the system's income record, information is jumping rapidly. Yang Hao's spirit revived, and he began to sacrifice the god of creation beads very seriously, and began to continuously absorb the laws of destiny. Compared with the previous collection of ordinary laws and special laws, the collection speed is many times slower. Not only that, it actually costs tens of millions of points per minute to automatically comprehend the law of destiny. It is more than 10 times that of ordinary laws. But well worth it? Time speeds up. Seeing that the huge number of points he had accumulated recently slowly dropped, Yang Hao was not heartbroken. Instead, he chose to speed up time and consume points even more exaggeratedly. He began to seize the time to understand this extremely rare law of fate. In an instant, 3 more days have passed. Now Yang Hao can speed up time 100 times. Although this will bring great consumption, Yang Hao, who has countless divine objects in his body and can replenish consumption at any time, doesn't care at all. In time under acceleration, for him, just 3 days was actually compared to nearly a year that had passed. The laws and materials for evolving the phenomena of heaven and earth have been collected, and then it will take time for the immortal king's creation map to evolve. Less than halfway to leaving Wandeo Pavilion. Before leaving, I should be able to evolve the vision of heaven and earth and get rewards. Besides, it might leave me with a hint of destiny. Yang Hao's eyes sparkled, and his anticipation became even stronger. Although a trace of destiny did not have any blessing on his combat power or cultivation, it was a spark of fire and an opportunity for him to realize the law of destiny again in the future. Earned 100 million points due to breaking realm. At this moment, Yang Hao was suddenly startled, and a strange look flashed in his eyes. Breakthrough. He never thought that when he understood the law of destiny, he would break through to the second level of the giant realm. Is that law condensed into crystal? Yang Hao frowned. Is it the law of space? Everything that has the potential to condense under ordinary laws is directly dispersed by him and introduced into the ancient killing array for nourishment. Only special laws will be retained by him. But these days, he is busy comprehending the laws of fate, and he has not deliberately comprehended and practiced them at all. How could there be a breakthrough? In Yang Hao's view, in this third area, only the 3 supreme laws exist. His law of time has already transformed into the divine will of time. The law of fate has just begun to be understood. Only the law of space is still there. He was constantly enlightened by the system. But Yang Hao also felt that something was wrong. He knew very well that there was still a long way to go before the laws of space could be condensed into crystals. It turned out to be the law of underworld. Yang Hao had already sensed it in his body at this moment, and found that the underworld condensed into a gilded amber crystal. It was this shining underworld crystal that allowed him to break through to the second level of the giant realm. He felt very strange. He has always understood the law of underworld through the law of underworld washed away on the road to underworld. Even if he has a systematic understanding of the law of underworld, he has never consciously understood it. But now the law of underworld has directly condensed into crystals. Yang Hao feels very strange. Could it be that the law of underworld is related to the law of destiny? Yang Hao sensed the underworld crystals, but did not sense anything abnormal. Sorry, Master, I don't know either. Undecided about the internal affairs, she asked Yunyan, but this time Yunyan was also at a loss. When did the special laws become so easy to learn? She previously lamented that the master's heart is as high as the sky, because the special laws are extremely difficult to understand. As a result, Yang Hao stepped in easily, not even knowing why. She also wanted to know the connection. But this time it was too high-end. It involved the cause and effect of the supreme law and the special law. Even Yunyan could only be confused. That's all. Yang Hao is also very free and easy. The law of underworld is a very terrible special law that can corrode all things and trigger the laws of death and reincarnation. He is qualified enough for him to control it. He activated the law of time again and continued to comprehend the law of destiny. A few days passed in a flash. At this time, Yang Hao could already foresee that the prototype of the vision of heaven and earth was about to take shape. Today is the last day of Wandeo Pavilion. Fortunately, the law of destiny finally condensed into my sea of aura and appeared. Yang Hao sensed in his body that next to his supreme immortal bone, there was a transparent divine light like cicada wings slowly moving away. That was the breath of the law of fate. Through crazy insights, Yang Hao spent the past few days. It took at least hundreds of billions of points to leave such a trace of destiny. Rumble. Just when Yang Hao was a little happy, the heaven and earth shook, and there was a roar. Then, the entire world where Yang Hao was, turned into shadows. Yang Hao, it turns out you are hiding here. Do you want to understand the law of destiny? How arrogant! A sneer came, and Lin Feng's figure appeared in the sky. Behind him was an endless and terrifying world of scorched earth. There were a total of 18 layers, filled with all kinds of things. Each layer seemed to have a series of ghosts climbing up from it at any time. Come out. Death, destruction, underworld, and other special laws are intertwined. This is the vision of heaven and earth that Lin Feng has devoted all his efforts to create in the past few days. The 18 levels of underworld and hell. This vision of heaven and earth will not it brings opportunities, but only destruction. In Lin Feng's previous life, the day when the great emperor created this vision of heaven and earth with his astonishing talent, all things were dark and withered, and the number of saints who fell that day even exceeded that of the God King. The day the elixir of death was born. The heaven and earth included it as a vision, not to reward those who had a chance, but to punish the gods. If anyone violates the rules of the heaven and earth, they will fall to the 18th level of hell. It was precisely because Lin Feng that year, having personally experienced the day when the 18th level of underworld was born, he sensed the truth behind such terrifying visions, and used the power of Wandeo Pavilion to create it. When Wandeo Pavilion passes today, Lin Feng will not be surprised to know that because of the creation he received a lot of rewards for this vision of heaven and earth. However, Lin Feng created this vision of heaven and earth, and receiving rewards was always second to none. What he did, was to suppress Yang Hao. Drag Yang Hao to the 18th level of hell. For eternity no turning over. Therefore, when Lin Feng finally created the 18th level of Huangquan hell these days, he used the supreme secret method to constantly search for traces of Yang Hao in the third area. The hard work paid off. At this time, Lin Feng looked at Yang Hao, who was meditating below, slightly licked the corners of his lips with his scarlet tongue. I wonder if burying a Dao Lord Star with my own hands will allow me to replace him. I took away the villain's son. Author, the great Onmyoji. Chapter 169. Lin Feng's heart is very excited now. This is no longer the second floor of Wandeo Pavilion. It is impossible for Yang Hao to reproduce the power of quasi-saint. It's an honor enough for me to be so cautious in a realm of great power. Yes. Lin Feng has never been so cautious. Even though it is well known that Yang Hao is just a powerful person, no one dares to underestimate him. Lin Feng knows very well that everyone who underestimates him is no longer in this world. As powerful as Lin Feng, he still created such a terrifying vision of heaven and earth before taking action against Yang Hao. This is a sign of respect and vigilance for the main star of the avenue, the strongest genius in 100,000 years. The two people have already forged a life and death relationship. After Lin Feng's cold words, Lin Feng naturally would not wait for Yang Hao to react before taking action. The 18th level of hell, with the sound of howling, came directly towards Yang Hao. Snort. Yang Hao suddenly opened his eyes, and his eyes were full of cold and endless cold light. He naturally sensed the terrible crisis coming, with gusts of sinister wind, and the hair on his hair stood up subconsciously. A life and death crisis. Yang Hao has never encountered such a crisis for a long time. The feeling. A divine light soared into the sky. The great desolate killing formation was launched in an instant, and the four divine swords became the main body of the prehistoric killing formation, directly facing the coming vision of heaven and earth. Kindness. Giant. As expected, he is difficult to deal with, and he has been hiding his strength. On weekdays, it's okay for Yang Hao to be quiet. When faced with life and death threats, Yang Hao naturally exploded with all his strength, and Lin Feng saw Yang Hao's strength almost instantly. He was shocked in his heart. The progress was too fast. As far as he knew, Yang Hao just achieved great power a year ago, and now he has become a giant. In time, won't he catch up with him? Lin Feng is extremely satisfied with the speed of his cultivation in this life. Although he has used time acceleration many times, he has practiced for 1,000 years. More than a year, but to others, it is just over 100 years to reach the peak of the emperor. But Yang Hao is even more terrifying than him. The other party is not even 100 years old. Think of Yang Hao and Zhang Wu's intimate relationship. When there is you, there is no Liang. Lin Feng's jealousy is burning. The moment the underworld he created falls, his killing array also shoots out of the sky, washing away the endless law of light, like a blazing ball of light, pressing against Yang Hao's ancient killing formation. In almost an instant, the ancient killing formation was intertwined with the underworld and Lin Feng's killing formations. Terrifying flames and breaths intertwined. Yang Hao's prehistoric killing formation was even more powerful than the emperor's. The powerful killing formation and the strange phenomena of heaven and earth in this realm are not moving at all, and they are even able to do so with ease. Bright. Dark. Wind. Thunder. Seeing this scene, Lin Feng's face turned extremely cold. All kinds of extremely powerful powers of law were washed away from his body, and he overwhelmed Yang Hao. Boom. At this time, Yang Hao punched out. Zhuyo suppressed the prison and evolved into billions of demons. His power surged like a mountain. His divine body exploded with the prehistoric killing array. At the same time, there was also a sea of supernatural power pouring out. At this moment, Lin Feng was also firing out a series of ultimate divine weapons, evolving countless magical powers and tactics to welcome Yang Hao's counterattack. They were evenly matched. In an instant, it was like water and fire meeting, thousands of steams erupted, the rules of heaven and earth were reversed, and both sides burst out with energy. Blood, the body was shattered in an instant, and then restored in an instant. If an ordinary emperor were to kill so fiercely, he would be severely injured almost instantly, and would be almost unable to fight again. But Yang Hao and Lin Feng seemed to have no impact at all. The soaring prehistoric sky, the killing array, was so powerful that it shattered Lin Feng's numerous extreme divine weapons. Even Lin Feng's killing array was crumbling. The vision of hell was destroyed by the extremely sharp sword light. Yang Hao had even more strength left. Lin Feng. In a normal fight, Lin Feng was at a disadvantage. Idiot. When Lin Feng saw this scene, his expression changed drastically, and he was even more fearful. All kinds of magic weapons were waved out as if they were free of charge, but the corners of his mouth had quietly curled up. It was an extremely confident smile. Every time he smiled like this, which means that his enemies will be humiliated to death by him in front of him. This time, of course, is no exception. As his smile unfolded, the underworld that was originally chopped into pieces by Yang Hao's great killing array, the vision of hell, appeared again, trapping Yang Hao in it. Yang Hao, you are trapped. No one understands the horror of this vision on the 18th floor of the underworld better than Lin Feng. The great emperor back then used 18 quasi-emperors as his opponents. The souls of the gods were sacrificed to create such a vision that shocked the world and weeping ghosts and gods. It will never die, and it will never end. As long as it is cleaned out, all the creatures obscured by the vision will be dragged into the 18 layers of hell. It is useless to break and shatter the vision. This is the vision of heaven and earth. Unless you break the heaven and earth, otherwise the vision of heaven and earth will exist forever during the turbulent time of the vision of heaven and earth. Not good. Yang Hao's face darkened when he saw this scene. He was already in the underworld, and he could feel the endless cold and gloomy aura filling the air. Those auras were constantly exhausting his body. All his senses is being taken away. The Dao pattern is leaving, the immortal bones disappear, the divine body turns into a mortal body, the sea of spiritual energy is dim, and the Dao heart is dusty. In front of him, in addition to darkness, there are only endless souls of injustice coming to seek their lives. He knows very well that as long as if he is caught by these evil ghosts, he will be dragged into the 18th level of hell and suffer endless torture and torture. Huan Quan. Yang Hao's eyes narrowed, but there was still something in his body that had not been deprived of by this vision. The law of the underworld that he had just broken through and understood. In addition to the law of the underworld, the road to the underworld also surged out, protecting the Lord on his own. It's not like this. Immortal Wangzhuotu and Wei Tower flew out one after another, shrouding Yang Hao's body, completely expelling all the surging evil spirits and ghosts. That is, the immortal king's creation map of the holy land of eternal life. Damn it, he really got it, no wonder his killing array is so powerful. The other two treasures are also extremely extraordinary. One is actually a divine weapon made purely from laws, and the other is suspected to be an imperial weapon. He is worthy of being a son of destiny with great luck. Unfortunately, these things will all be mine. Lin Feng saw that Yang Hao was shrouded in the underworld, but he was not completely swallowed up as he thought. Instead, various exotic treasures flew out of the body. He had quasi-emperor's eyesight and recognized Yang Hao's body almost instantly. The origin of the divine object. Greed. Endless greed surged in Lin Feng's heart. He was so confident in this vision of heaven and earth that even if there were many exotic treasures protecting his body on their own, he was not worried at all that Yang Hao could break through the seal. It was only a matter of time before Yang Hao was suppressed. Time passed. In this way, Yang Hao was suppressed in the underworld and almost an hour passed in the blink of an eye. Master, this vision of heaven and earth is so terrifying. It has almost no weaknesses at all. Unless there is a more powerful vision of heaven and earth to cover it, or you wait for the vision of heaven and earth to end, it cannot be broken at all. In the underworld, precious light overflowed, driving away the evil spirits and ghosts. Yunyan's voice came to Yang Hao's ears. The two of them had merged at this moment, and their strength was almost as strong as that of the emperor. But even so, coupled with the protection of various divine objects, he can still barely protect himself. This is because Yang Hao has understood the law of underworld. Otherwise, if it had been the case before, even if all kinds of trump cards were revealed, he might not be able to persist until now. I see. The law of fate turns out to be like this. However, Yang Hao was mumbling to himself at this moment, as if he did not hear Yunyan's voice. In the underworld hell, he continued to cleanse the laws of the underworld, and absorbed the visions of the underworld hell with the underworld road. The extremely terrifying things that formed the underworld hell. The most basic law in the vision of heaven and earth is the law of underworld. Although trapped, Yang Hao began to have a new understanding of the law of underworld. It seemed that he understood why he let the law of underworld break when he understood the law of destiny before. Because destiny has foreseen the future and knows that he will be suppressed by the underworld. Therefore, it drives all the laws. When he understands the law of destiny, it triggers the breakthrough of the underworld law. It sounds incredible. But Yang Hao understood that all this was the revelation of the law of fate. It also made him understand a hint of the true meaning of the law of fate. It is indeed one of the supreme laws, no worse than the laws of time and space. Yang Hao had an epiphany at this time, and the aura of destiny in his body began to become a little stronger. Owner. The Immortal King's creation map has returned to your body, and the Wei Tower cannot intercept the entire 18 levels of hell that are coming. Otherwise, try to use your time method to reverse time and space, and you may have a chance to escape from the trap. At this time, the underworld hell became more and more dangerous as time passed. Yunyan said to Yang Hao in a hurried tone. Need not. Yang Hao smiled and shook his head, looking meaningfully at the hell in front of him, as if it wasn't his body that was decaying, he was just a bystander. The law of fate has long been doomed. I have seen the future. Lin Feng will definitely lose. As soon as the words fell, a brilliant deep blue color appeared in Yang Hao's eyes, and the eyes of time reappeared. The next moment, the Immortal King's creation map returned to Yang Hao's body, suddenly washing out violent fluctuations. In the blink of an eye, the underworld began to tremble. What happened? Lin Feng felt the underworld trembling, and his expression changed. This is obviously a sign that it will be broken. But how is it possible? The vision on the 18th floor of underworld can last for at least one day. If you want to make underworld break, you can only do it even more. A powerful vision appeared, completely crushing the underworld vision. Lin Feng didn't believe it. There are many legendary visions in this world that can be compared with the underworld, but it is simply impossible to suppress the underworld vision until it collapses. What on earth happened? Lin Feng's thoughts changed rapidly. The leisurely mood that he had prepared to wait and reap the benefits was instantly shattered. In the underworld, Yang Hao's body slowly floated out one after another, mysterious vastness. Breath. The next moment, 9 towering giant shadows like mountains and seas flew out of his body, gradually growing from small to large, turning into gods. The vision of heaven and earth evolved from the Immortal King's creation map was finally completed. With the supreme power shook the heaven and the earth. Finally, in an instant, the vision of underworld and hell was crushed. Please download the novel without underlining. I took away the villain's son. Author, the great Onmyoji. Chapter 170. What is that? Lin Feng's face changed drastically, and everything changed in the blink of an eye. He naturally felt that the 18 levels of hell were shattered in an instant. But how could it be possible? Lin Feng's eyes stared like bells. That was hell. A person from hell. The vision of heaven and earth created by the emperor. The power is so powerful. How could it be broken? In his sight, 9 shadows as huge as mountains and seas slowly flew out from the underworld. As the shadows flew, the underworld was the abyss-like vision began to shatter and disintegrate inch by inch. You have 9 dragons. 9 dragons that Lin Feng has never seen before. Ancient dragon. Pure blood dragon. Alien dragon. Lin Feng stared at the 9 dragon shadows with wide eyes, and there were even bloodshot eyes in his eyes. The vision of 9 terrifying giant dragons shattered the underworld the moment they appeared. This one, what is the origin of the vision? At this time, he felt faint fear. From Lin Feng's eyes, he could see that as the 9 giant dragons appeared with the force of the sky and the earth shattering, this vision was far from over. The vision was far from over. The momentum has not yet fully started. You must retreat, otherwise this trip will be very dangerous. Although Lin Feng was curious about this huge vision, his reason made him understand that this was not the time to be curious. The moment the hell of hell was broken, he knew that it was no longer realistic to suppress Yang Hao today. He still has a trump card, but the opponent is even more evil than him. Lin Feng, don't want to take risks. If you can't kill with one blow, just leave. A rainbow light appeared, and Lin Feng disappeared into the sky in an instant. You want to leave, are you ready? Seeing Lin Feng disappearing and escaping, Yang Hao's faint voice resounded throughout the third area. Almost in an instant, his figure sat cross-legged on the head of the dragon at the center of the 9 giant dragons. Zhen Zhen with its wings spread, it is thousands of miles away. The 9 giant dragons caught up with Lin Feng almost instantly. Damn it! When Lin Feng saw this scene, the soul of the dead came out. At this time, he finally saw the whole picture of this shocking vision that crushed the underworld. Behind the 9 giant dragons, there were 9 giant bronze coffins. Each bronze coffin, the giant coffin, exudes an aura that makes Lin Feng's soul tremble. He has a premonition that if the 9 bronze giant coffins are opened, not to mention him, the entire area containing the supreme law may be completely destroyed. How could there be such a terrifying vision in this world? How did Yang Hao create it? Lin Feng's face was pale and he was dripping with cold sweat. He knew that he might not be able to escape. This shocking phenomenon of 9 dragons pulling a coffin, even if he was pulling the coffin, no matter how fast he flew, he could catch up with a single flapping of his wings. In 1 hour at most, Wandao Pavilion will be closed. It should be able to support it. Lin Feng was making calculations in his mind. Before he was suppressing Yang Hao, he naturally wanted to prevent him from escaping. So he had been calculating the time for Wandao Pavilion to be closed. But Lin Feng never thought that he wanted to slow down everything even more. But at this moment, he was eager to get up even faster. His mind was set. His figure immediately stopped and performed all kinds of magic. One after another, infinite magic, he went crazy towards Yang Hao to kill. Divine power, killing array, all kinds of magic weapons, as well as many extremely rare treasures, all the trump cards he has accumulated over the years burst out in an instant. The pressure of Zhulang La Coffin was too great for Lin Feng. He did not dare to test the skill of Zhulang La Coffin. He can only go all out to find out what kind of power the vision will have. He will reveal all his secrets. As long as he can get out of Wandao Pavilion, he will be named. Before entering, Lin Feng never thought that he would be in such a place of opportunity. Even on the line between life and death. Innocent. But at this moment, Yang Hao's cold voice came. He was still in an extremely mysterious state at this time, and the laws of destiny in his body were quickly being understood by him. And the vision of the 9 dragons pulling the coffin sitting cross-legged under him, at this moment the power of the vision finally bloomed. Time, space, destiny, death, stars, underworld, reincarnation. 9 terrifying and endless supreme laws were revealed from the huge bronze coffin pulled horizontally by 9 giant dragons. Even though the coffin still didn't exist, it was turned on, but each of the escaping breaths almost reached the ultimate point, pressing towards Lin Feng. Avenue. You are so brave. You actually evolved the vision of heaven and earth and buried 9 supreme avenues. Aren't you afraid that the monks in the world will surround you and kill you? At this moment, Lin Feng sensed that the 9 supreme laws were coming, and his face changed drastically, and he even seemed a little panicked. While he used various means to resist the oncoming 9 supreme laws, he stared at the 9 bronze giant coffins intently. Staring at it? In his opinion, it is no wonder that this vision of heaven and earth is so terrifying that it can directly crush the underworld. In the giant bronze coffin, there are 9 supreme avenues. They were all buried by Yang Hao. Lin Feng was almost certain that it must be like this. Only in this way can such terrifying power be achieved. He initially thought that the 9 giant dragons were extremely powerful, but now he realized that the 9 giant dragons were just foils. They could pull the corpses of the 9 avenues. It would be strange if the dragon was not powerful. He. When Yang Hao heard what Lin Feng said, his eyes showed disdain. 9 supreme avenues are buried in the giant bronze coffin? This guy really dares to think. Of course he knows what is buried in the 9 giant bronze coffins. Because now this earth-shattering the vision was naturally an evolution of the immortal king's creation map based on the depths of his memory. Inside, it was natural that the 9 supreme avenues were not buried. He naturally understood the meaning of Lin Feng's words. If it really evolved, the 9 supreme avenues were buried. Once the phenomenon is revealed, it will definitely trigger a butterfly effect, which will definitely make the Dao defective. This is equivalent to affecting the practitioners of the entire world. Yang Hao himself also cultivates the Dao. How could he do such a thing? It can only be said that Lin Feng is really dare to think. Indeed, with Lin Feng's poor imagination, how could he imagine such a grand scene as the 9 dragons pulling the coffin? Random speculation proves that Lin Feng's Taoist heart has been messed up. This time, you can't run away. The power of the 9 dragons pulling the coffin phenomenon triggered by Yang Hao is really terrifying. So what if Lin Feng has infinite cards? Even if he goes to the underworld, he can't escape from his grasp at this time. What makes Yang Hao care is, Lin Feng's mysterious black umbrella appeared again. Faced with the oppression of the supreme law triggered by the 9 dragons pulling the coffin, the mysterious black umbrella washed away the incomparable power, and actually withstood the power of the 9 dragons pulling the coffin phenomenon. It was suppressed for nearly half an hour. It's a pity. Even though this mysterious black umbrella has infinite power, it is just like Yang Hao was trapped in the underworld before. Suppressed by the strange phenomenon of Kowloon pulling the coffin, Lin Feng's true strength is very different. Kun Yi was unable to exert his true ultimate combat power. His aura became weaker and weaker. Finally, at the moment when his mind collapsed, Yang Hao performed the reincarnation method, instantly reversed time, and forcibly seized Lin Feng's black umbrella. The next moment, the prehistoric killing array penetrated Lin Feng. He was seriously injured on the spot. His body collapsed. Receive. Yang Hao's eyes moved, and Wei Tower flew out. Without any hesitation, he wanted to take Lin Feng into Wei Tower. Not good. At this time, Lin Feng, who was seriously injured and dying, felt great terror in his heart. He felt in his heart that if he was absorbed by the small tower that was suspected to be the Ji-Dao Emperor's weapon at this moment, his end would most likely be worse than death. Boom. Lin Feng was extremely decisive. Almost at the moment when he was about to be absorbed by the Wei Tower, he shattered like fireworks. He blew himself up. He simply blew himself up decisively and left all the divine objects and treasures, including the black umbrellas, to Yang Hao. Would you rather die than surrender? Yang Hao was also stunned. This was the first time he encountered such a decisive opponent. He actually blew himself up and refused to be suppressed by him. Lin Feng made him feel very troublesome. This was the first person in recent years who had brought him a life and death crisis. The enemy. Is it that simple to solve? If he is not the protagonist's destiny, that's fine. But if he is the fate of the protagonist, he should not die so easily. Yang Hao frowned, feeling something was wrong. However, regardless of whether Lin Feng died or not, it did not prevent him from collecting the loot, especially the mysterious black umbrella. It was extremely mysterious and suspected of being an imperial weapon. It needs to be studied carefully. Just when Yang Hao was collecting the spoils of war, in a very secret place. Puff. A big mouthful of golden blood spit out. Who made my body fall? My eternal night umbrella. Lin Feng is almost dying of pain at this moment. His heart is bleeding. His body has fallen. The death is so sudden. He can't even feel it. Not only the body but also the infinite artifacts that he has worked hard to collect over the years have probably been completely lost. Especially the Yanjai umbrella. It was a treasure that he had gone through countless dangers to get. At this moment, everything was like a bubble, nothing was left. The key is that Lin Feng knew nothing about everything. He didn't know that the true body was how to fall. Did you encounter a great terror during the adventure? Or was you killed by the enemy? Or was you involved in a terrible place? Few people know that his biggest trump card is the law of clones that he once understood by chance, and he has even almost cultivated it to the ultimate state. Lin Feng has always practiced with one clone and one body at the same time. It's just that the main body is more powerful, and most of the divine objects in these years have also been on the main body. But now, not only the main body suddenly fell, but also the law of clones was severely damaged. It would probably be extremely difficult for his clone to cultivate to the ultimate level and evolve into a great avenue using the clone law. My dear friend, what's wrong? When Lin Feng was in great pain, the gentle young man who had enlightened in the secret realm with him saw Lin Feng's extremely painful look and asked with concern. This gentle and powerful young man was wearing the robe of the Holy Land of Eternal Life, _ You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I took away the villain's son. Author, the great Onmyoji. Chapter 171. In the sky, the 9 giant dragons are still flapping their wings. What's this? Is it a vision from heaven and earth? Who created the vision of heaven and earth that was so terrifying? What power does it have? Is that the figure of Emperor Zun? Could it be that Emperor Zun created it? If it's him, it's only him. In the vast third-level world of Wandeo Pavilion, almost every genius who was still alive showed shock. They were completely shocked when they saw the vision of the 9 dragons pulling the coffin flying past. Without it, the aura in the 9 coffins pulled by the 9 giant dragons with ancient chains would be too deep and terrifying. These geniuses even feel that whether this vision of heaven and earth can bring benefits or other things. If the vision comes to them, they almost only have the possibility of falling. The only thing they could do was to look at the 9 dragons with shocked eyes and see a figure sitting on it calmly. Light divine crystal, dark divine crystal, reincarnation divine crystal. 18 pieces of extremely magical weapons. Is this fairy tears green gold? At this time, although Yang Hao was sitting at the head of the 9 dragons, he was not as majestic as those geniuses imagined. He was counting the loot after Lin Feng's death. Once a practitioner self-destructs, the treasures hidden in the sea of spiritual energy will be completely exposed. If it were elsewhere, the self-destruction would inevitably shatter the space in all directions, and many treasures in the sea of spiritual energy would be involved in the space cracks and lost. But this is the 3rd floor of Wandeo Pavilion, a supreme place full of endless laws. Just the power of space laws contained in this place is unknown. Unless the Emperor self-destructs here, it is impossible to break through the space in Wandeo Pavilion. Naturally, all of Lin Feng's artifacts were exposed in front of Yang Hao's eyes. In addition to the mysterious black umbrella, there are many divine objects beyond Yang Hao's imagination. Lin Feng has a large number of special divine crystals, ultimate divine weapons, and even 7-color holy objects. Lin Feng's death was like giving Yang Hao a divine treasure for nothing. Baby boy. It's okay if he dies. If he doesn't die, please bring more artifacts next time. Yang Hao sighed. The harvest was really great, even far more than what he gained on the 2nd level. Lin Feng, the emperor, has a much stronger background than I ever did. Even Yunyin, a former saint, was shocked. Lin Feng is really too rich. Yunyin's words made Yang Hao more and more certain about the possibility of Lin Feng being the protagonist. There are endless opportunities, extraordinary talents, and extremely powerful luck. And he is particularly at odds with himself. All the characteristics are in line with the characteristics of the protagonist he knows. If it's the protagonist, I don't know what kind of golden finger he has, Yang Hao secretly thought in his heart. But he just thought about it casually and did not deliberately think about it in detail. After all, everything is still just a guess. When he has the opportunity to see the Dao galaxy and observe whether Lin Feng's Dao Tiangang star has fallen, everything will be clear. All know it. Is Wandeo Pavilion going to close? At this moment, Yang Hao's eyes suddenly moved. He felt that Wandeo Pavilion seemed to tremble. In an instant, the world began to change. Wandeo Pavilion was about to close. The third floor is already the last place of opportunity. Next time if you want to open the Wandeo Pavilion again, you need to wait for a full 100 years. Everyone is wrapped in the miraculous space laws and turns into divine light to fly out. At this time, some strange phenomena of heaven and earth are also surging out. Obviously, except for Yang Hao and Lin Feng, not everyone is as Buddhist as the Nine-Dragon Emperor. There are still geniuses who try to give up most of their enlightenment time in these 15 days to create visions of heaven and earth. It is a pity that the vision of heaven and earth is not powerful. In front of Yang Long's coffin, it is like the bright moon and fluorescence. They cannot be confused. Yang Hao is also wrapped in the laws of space at this moment. At the moment of being transmitted, in the sea of spiritual energy, suddenly two divine lusters appeared. This is. Yang Hao's pupils shrank, and he immediately sensed the changes in his body. The two divine objects shocked him completely. The first divine object was okay, as he expected. Deluo fine gold. Again a 7-color holy object. In addition to the eternal blue gold harvested on the second level and the fairy tears green gold obtained from Lin Feng, he got a total of 3 7-color holy objects in Wandeo Pavilion. It can be said that his luck is astonishing, making people envious. But what Yang Hao really cared about was the second divine object. This divine object was something he had never guessed in any case. He took a deep breath, carefully looked at the divine light in the sea of spiritual energy, and confirmed I read it right. Yunyin, right. At this moment, there was no reply from Yunyin. She, who usually answered Yang Hao's questions, was speechless at this moment. She was also deeply shocked. It should be, right. After a while, Yunyin's voice came slowly. It took longer than expected to be teleported out of the third floor of Wandeo Pavilion. Even though Yunyin's voice sounded, he still hadn't left completely. Wandeo Pavilion. Yang Hao took a deep breath and then slowly exhaled it to calm his inner excitement. Definitely. The Gate of Destiny. He sensed in his body that next to the original mini shadow of the destroyed door, a vague shadow of a transparent porch appeared. It was also a door. At first, he sensed that he had created a world like the Nine Dragons' coffin on the third floor. After seeing the vision, he only got the Deluo fine gold and a section. Even if it was a sect belonging to a special law, Yang Hao still felt a little disappointed. But when he actually sensed it, he was completely confused. The sect of destiny belongs to the 3 major sections, the most mysterious law of destiny among the supreme laws. How could Yang Hao not be shocked by this? The mystery of the law of destiny had already been felt when he was suppressed by the vision of underworld and hell. Somehow, he could bring order to the chaos and influence the mysterious supreme law of destiny. Since the history of Zhiwei Star, no one has ever been heard of being able to control the path of destiny. Not even the great emperor. But now, he has obtained the shocking treasure. The Taoist door that belongs to the law of destiny. This a treasure means that he has the qualifications to comprehend the avenue of destiny. As long as he can cultivate the law of destiny to the ultimate level, then after entering the gate of destiny, there is a high probability that he can comprehend the avenue of destiny and control it. Even Yunyin he was so shocked that he lost his voice, which is enough to show how incredible the appearance of the fate gate is. If you can control your destiny. My destiny is up to me, and I will have a real trump card against many protagonists in the future. Yang Hao's eyes flickered. All along, his biggest headache when facing the protagonists was not the endless trump cards. As long as the trump cards are revealed, there is nothing to be afraid of. What he is wary of is the fate of these protagonists. But for all the protagonists, no one has a fate that is easy to mess with. Turning danger into good luck, pursuing good luck and avoiding danger, and even being resurrected, reincarnated, and reborn at every turn. Too many unexpected factors will affect it in some mysterious way. The protagonist, help the protagonist escape from danger and continue to grow. According to the law of destiny that Yang Hao now understands, look, if he can control the road of destiny, to a certain extent, he can attack the protagonist's fate in an extremely mysterious way, or even suppress it, erasing this biggest unexpected factor. Then, it's easy to talk about what happens next. Wandeo Pavilion is a worthwhile trip. Yang Hao said silently in his heart, and the next moment the sky broke. A bright light appeared in front of his eyes, and the familiar scenery gradually appeared, and those familiar breaths were also sensed by Yang Hao. Around him, there were also the geniuses who were teleported out. However, there were only a few figures. Compared with the huge momentum when they entered, there were less than 20 figures teleported out from Wandeo Pavilion. Naturally, all the disciples of the Eternal Holy Land must be fully tailed. After walking out, the peerless geniuses like Zhuolong Emperor and Fang Qingying also successfully walked out. Judging from their expressions, it was obvious that they had gained a lot. What is surprising is that, except for some geniuses among the remaining people, most of the chief saints also walked out. Only good fortune the chief holy son of the Holy Land was quite unlucky and was not seen. He should have been accidentally killed by Yang Hao on the second floor of Wandeo Pavilion. Finally got out. What was the harvest? What about the rest? Have you not walked out yet? Fang Qingying, Luan Yang Tianjun gained a huge amount. Outside the Wandeo Pavilion, many strong men were waiting day and night. At this moment, they sensed the ups and downs of the Wandeo Pavilion. After the figures walked out, they immediately stepped forward to ask. Hearing these people's questions, the geniuses who walked out of Wandeo Pavilion all had strange eyes and subconsciously looked at Yang Hao. Yang Hao's eyes were indifferent, without any fluctuation. Kowloon Emperor, where are the others? At this time, a supreme elder from the Holy Land of Creation looked at everyone walking out of the Holy Land of Eternal Life. Everyone's eyes were extremely weird. They seemed to have realized something. He asked in a deep voice to the most evil genius present except the Holy Land of Eternal Life. Don't ask me, I don't know anything. I have been concentrating on meditation. But when the Kowloon Emperor heard the words, he immediately said quickly with an innocent look on his face. I took away the villain's son. Author, the Great Onmyoji. Chapter 172. The Supreme Elder of the Holy Land of Creation who asked the Kowloon Emperor was a middle-aged beautiful woman. Although she still seems to have charm, traces of time can be seen vaguely between her eyebrows. This is a very ancient holy being. You do not know. Why haven't any of the geniuses such as Emperor Feng and Emperor Linlang of my Holy Land of Creation yet left? Do you know? The middle-aged beautiful woman frowned, no longer paying attention to the Nine-Dragon Emperor, and turned to ask the others. The other geniuses all wanted to speak but hesitated. After all, some of these geniuses were intimidated by Yang Hao and did not dare to speak. All have fallen. At this time, the only remaining emperor of the Yin-Yang Holy Land said in a deep voice. As one of the oldest holy lands, the Yin-Yang Holy Land is more powerful than the Holy Land of Creation, and is also the Holy Land closest to the Holy Land of Eternal Life. This person, the Emperor's genius, walked out. On the one hand, he was dissatisfied with Yang Hao's domineering behavior in Wandeo Pavilion. On the other hand, he dared to speak out because of the presence of powerful men from the Yin and Yang Holy Land. What? How could Maple Emperor fall? Emperor Yu Yan, tell all the truth, don't be afraid. The beautiful middle-aged woman from the Holy Land of Creation showed disbelief in her eyes when she heard this, and immediately turned into a sharp light, staring at the Emperor Yu Yan in the Holy Land of Yin and Yang. She didn't believe it at all at the moment. Although Wandeo Pavilion needs to fight crossing, but everyone knows that it is not a place of great danger, but a place of opportunity. All the holy places are carefully selected when choosing the places to enter the Wandeo Pavilion this time, and each one gets the Wandeo Pavilion. The quotas are all monsters from the major holy places. Although Wandeo Pavilion is mysterious and unpredictable, even if it is a land of chance, the major holy places have made preparations for their own geniuses to fall into it. But among them, no one would have thought that there will be a situation where the group is almost wiped out. Not to mention, even a peerless genius like Lin Feng has fallen into it. The middle-aged beautiful woman is very optimistic about Lin Feng and takes special care of Lin Feng. Naturally, she is extremely angry when she hears this. Yuyan, say it? Luan Yang Tianjun didn't come out, did he fall? Is the same true for the Earth Overlord? Everything you encountered in Wandeo Pavilion was clearly explained one by one. The Heavenly Sword Emperor is nowhere to be seen, what happened to him? As Yu Yanhuang's voice sounded, the powerful masters in other holy places, including the Yin and Yang Holy Land, were shocked at this moment. They all looked at Yu Yanhuang, wanting to hear the news clearly. In fact, which one of these powerful men is not a saint? In one thought, they realized omniscience and omnipotence, and coupled with the reaction of these geniuses who walked out of Wandeo Pavilion, they already had an extremely accurate guess as to how Wandeo Pavilion had lost so many geniuses. However, when it comes to behemoths like the Holy Land of Eternal Life, these holy lands also need a clear answer before they can take action. Inside Wandeo Pavilion, when Yu Yanhuang saw many powerful people asking questions, he glanced at Yang Hao, who smiled and nodded to him. He didn't seem to care, and his heart trembled. He thought of Yang Hao's cruelty. Especially when he was on the second level, even though he knew it was not Yang Hao's own strength, the killing storm that was set off the moment he entered was something that Yu Yanhuang would never forget for the rest of his life. In front of him, it seemed that the Luanyang Heavenly Lord, who was of the same generation as him and had been suppressing him for nearly 10,000 years, was so easily beaten to death by Yang Hao, leaving only his soul to escape. Yang Hao also looked at Yu Yanhuang at this time, smiling calmly, even as if he was encouraging, waiting for Yu Yanhuang to say everything. He dared to attack these geniuses, so naturally he never cared about whether the affairs of Wandeo Pavilion would be leaked. Not to mention the Holy Land of Eternal Life behind him, he has already achieved great success. Unless the great emperor manifests, even if a sage or quasi-emperor emerges, with his current strength and the strong protection of the Eternal Holy Land, he can leave with confidence. Of course, Yang Hao was not without thoughts of killing, and wiped out all the geniuses of Wandeo Pavilion so that the truth could not be revealed. But he quickly gave up this idea. After reaching the Saint Realm, there are too many magical methods. Even if no one is left alive, if someone is willing to pay the price to investigate, they can still find out most of the truth about Wandeo Pavilion. Because of this, he was naturally too lazy to do such thankless things. Just when Yu Yanhuang swallowed subconsciously and was about to tell the truth about Wandeo Pavilion. What is that? Someone sensed the extremely terrifying ripples gradually coming out of the closed Wandeo Pavilion. Then, 9 visions covering the sky and the sun appeared in everyone's eyes. Kowloon pulls the coffin and flies out of Wandeo Pavilion. This was recognized by heaven and earth, and was completely recorded by Wandeo Pavilion. Emperor Zun, he is so evil. The geniuses such as Yu Yanhuang and others who had witnessed the magnificent vision of heaven and earth, such as the 9 dragons pulling the coffin in the Wandeo Pavilion, were once again shocked by the giant dragon dragging the 9 bronze coffins from the Wandeo Pavilion. The incomparably vast breath swept away and flew into the distance. They knew very well that this vision of heaven and earth created by Yang Hao was recognized by heaven and earth, and was recorded forever in the history of Zhiwei Star. In the future, the practitioners of Zhiwei Star will have one more miraculous heaven and earth phenomenon that they can induce, but they don't know what power it is. Such a terrifying vision of heaven and earth, why was it triggered at this time? Who inspired it? Why have I never heard of this vision of the 9 dragons pulling the coffin? The aura is too huge. If it comes, it can directly break my immortal golden body. Not only the great geniuses who came out of Wandeo Pavilion, but also the powerful G-Dao outside Wandeo Pavilion were attracted at this moment, and they all murmured to themselves in shock. The strange phenomenon of the 9 dragons pulling the coffin did not kill Lin Feng like it did, so they could not sense the aura in the 9 giant bronze coffins, and naturally they would not make unbelievable guesses like Lin Feng. But they were shocked just by feeling this strange phenomenon. Pity. Yang Hao felt a little regretful when he saw the 9 dragons pulling the coffin, fluttering its wings and flying all the way westward, as if it was about to fly into the ancient starry sky. As the creator, he naturally understands the heaven and earth phenomenon of the 9 dragons pulling the coffin better than anyone else. Everyone guessed wrong. In fact, this vision of heaven and earth is not used for killing, nor does it only belong to Ziwei Star. The birth of the vision of heaven and earth has always represented the will of heaven and earth. Even if he created it himself, it still has its own will. If the vision of purple air from the east is revealed, and it is favored by heaven and earth, and it is a manifestation of the will of heaven and earth. If the vision of the long river of time is revealed, and it is gifted with time, it is also a manifestation of the will of heaven and earth. There is no consciousness in the world, but countless laws and avenues flowing through it, giving birth to order and rules. Once it senses someone with amazing talent and beauty, it will send down visions to help. Once it senses someone who goes against the will of heaven, it will also send down visions and heavenly punishment. Only Yang Hao knew that after he created the Zhulang La coffin, it was born and would not just be trapped in the Ziwei Star. This vision of heaven and earth will wander across the starry sky, flying past big stars one after another. Until one day, the 9 giant bronze coffins were opened. At that time, the will of the heaven and earth vision of the 9 dragons pulling the coffin will appear, and then it can be induced again. At that time, the 9 dragons La coffin will appear again, and it will reveal the power of the heaven and earth that truly belongs to the 9 dragons La coffin. I don't know what kind of grand scene it will be on that day. Will the giant bronze coffin be as I remember it? Yang Hao's thoughts were flying, and he gradually saw the giant bronze coffin disappearing from his sight. At the same time, Yang Hao felt that his body was a little lighter. This feeling was very familiar to Yang Hao. Good luck. He created such extraordinary phenomena as the 9 dragons pulling the coffin, which made his luck even more intense. What kind of luck is this? After Yang Hao sensed the lightness of the divine body, he was a little confused. There were too many luck blessings on his body. The luck blessings from the divine objects, the luck blessings from the eternal Holy Land, and the luck blessings from the Ziwei Star. But he can easily sense that this blessing of luck is not similar to any previous luck. That's all. Things like luck are mysterious and mysterious. Even Yunyan can't sense it. The addition of luck, no matter what kind of luck it is naturally good, so Yang Hao doesn't worry about it anymore. At this time, Zhulang La the coffin has flown all over the Ziwei Star, the sky, causing shock to the world. But at this moment, in the restricted area outside Wandeo Pavilion, the shock has gradually subsided. Under the questioning of a group of Ji-Dao emperors, Emperor Yu Yan finally slowly everything in Wandeo Pavilion is narrated. Climbing the cloud platform outside the pavilion. Collecting treasures on the first floor. Fighting the pavilion master on the second floor. The endless laws of the third floor are manifested, creating visions of heaven and earth. Every time Yu Yan Huang narrates, many people, the strong men of the extreme path, felt yearning. They also already knew that this time, almost all the benefits of Wandeo Pavilion were exclusively obtained by the Holy Land of Eternal Life. Not only that, almost all the geniuses of the major Holy Lands fell because of Yang Hao. Although many people did not seeing Lin Feng self-destructing, there is no need to say more. As long as the genius who died in Wandeo Pavilion, 9 out of 10 are inseparable from Yang Hao. When the words fell and everything ended, the whole place was silent. the holy land of creation. The beautiful middle-aged woman looked at Yang Hao with murderous intent and said coldly, Yang Hao, do you know your guilt?